Good morning, everybody. Hello, happy Easter. I am home. I am home. I have traveled far along this road, and now I'm home. Shalom. Shalom. In the love of God, I'm at home. Rhonda, you put me off. I am home. I am home. I have traveled far along this road, and now I'm home. Shalom. Shalom. In the love of God, I am home. Good morning, everybody. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome. Happy Easter, this beautiful Easter morning. We are so blessed to be gathering together here in spirit. We met at the coming of the dawn this morning with Simon's Easter fire, with the glorious fire he had built out on Marrow Stone, and the dawn coming up over the water and through the trees behind him. So if you weren't there in connection on live stream, you were there with us in spirit. We brought all of you into that moment. And so welcome to our Easter celebration. And it's a little bit different this year in that we're meeting virtually, which is really quite an amazing blessing. They keep talking about us being socially distancing from one another. And I really prefer the term physical distancing from one another, because what I've discovered is that soul connection wise, socially, we are finding new and creative ways to be even more present with each other than we've done before. And so it's quite an amazing time. And as we've been tucked away in our homes, it's been quite miraculous to see the images of how Mother Earth, this home that we share, is changing and shifting to the positive. The waters in Venice are now blue. They're clear enough in the canals you can see the fish. The dolphins have returned to the Grand Canal. They say you can see the Himalayan mountaintops now that you haven't been able to see in forever. In India, you can see these holy shrines that normally are shrouded in smog. They have them side by side on the screen. So many of us, although we are at home, are also realizing the beauty and the power, the healing, the renewal that comes from being present in nature. And so if you haven't incorporated that as a spiritual practice yet, as part of this stay at home and save lives, be sure and integrate that in, because it will bring you comfort and untold blessings. And so with that spirit of oneness that is uniting us all around the globe as we face this challenge, and hold one another in compassion and in love, we are each at home, not out of fear, but out of love for one another, for those near and far. And so we have this global movement right now that is healing our planet. I think it's healing us at spiritual levels that we'll be talking about this morning. It's perfect that this is Easter week, because this whole process, Easter week, is the embodiment of our experience. And so I'd like to begin with one of my favorite passages from Kent Nearborn. This, to me, this year has so much richer and deeper a meaning even than when I've ever used it before. And so a blessing and an inspiration from Kent Nearborn. We are all born with a belief in God. It may not have a name, or a face. We may not even see it as God, but it is there. It is the sense that comes over us as we stare into a starlit sky or watch the last rays of an evening sunset. It is the morning shiver as we wake on a beautiful day and smell a richness in the air that we know and love from somewhere we can't quite recall. It is the mystery behind the beginning of time and beyond all the limits of space. It is a sense of otherness that brings something deep into our hearts. And so let us unite our hearts for a moment of opening prayer as I share the words of our interfaith prayer for peace that is very much at the heart of our unity prayer circle here in Port Townsend. It originally came from the Friends of Iona, and I adapted it a bit over the years. And so settle now as we connect with all of our brothers and sisters all around the globe, with whatever faith in which they are praying and whatever language their prayers are being spoken. Our prayers come from the same heart within each of us and arise into the presence of the divine by whatever name we call it. The Interfaith Prayer for Peace. Great Spirit, Father, Mother, God, Hagia Sophia, Allah, Lord Krishna, Buddha, Jehovah, Jesus, and all other enlightened ones. Since a part of your divinity is planted in each of us, may we hear all others as you hear them. May we see all others as you see them. May we feel for all others with your compassion. May we think of all others with your wisdom. May we speak of all others with your voice. May we act toward all others with your intention and with your love. And so it is. Om, Amen, and blessed be.
So we got a couple of things going on. And for those of you that are connected with the email service that we get from the church, you'll know about these. But coming up, we have the High Watch noon gathering continues every noon. And it's about a half-hour prayer vigil holding peace, harmony, wellness, and blessings for the planet, for everybody on it, all sentient beings, and then for ourselves, clearly. It's a chance for us to go into deep prayer, take a break, and allow that prayer energy to infill ourselves and then infill our planet. Thursday, Pam continues on with the Wisdom Jesus series. It starts at 10:30, and she's going to do a kind of a recap and reset, if you will. So Thursday will be a chance to kind of catch up and get everybody on the same page and then move it forward. And so that'll be Thursday at 10:30. And anything else, check out the website. So
Perfect.
With that, I think that's it for the announcements.
Announcements, yes. And I'll add in one more announcement, which is for this Easter week, Holy Week, I've invited people to work on a collage. We're in this process where we are being kind of held in this suspension of shift and change and growth. And so I invite you to create a collage with pictures and words, whatever you feel guided to include. And then when we regather at our Unity Spiritual Enrichment Center, when this stay at home lifts, we're going to all bring our collages so that we can share them, and we'll put them up in the hallway or hold them up so everyone can see what our collective vision is that we've come up with individually as well. And then the other piece is, whether you do a personal collage or not, we're inviting everyone to find one image that you'd like to contribute to a bigger Unity collage that we will create and put up and keep up for this year at the church. And so we're asking that it be no bigger than an index card. It can be a half an index card size, because we want to be able to put everybody's up on one big board. So consider contributing to our collage, which will be our collective revisioning of stepping back into life together in the outer world, meeting in person as well as we meet in sacred communion, soul to soul, all the time, including at our live stream and Zoom events. And whenever each of us goes into prayer, we touch soul to soul every single time. And so with that spirit of connecting soul to soul, let us now unite our voices as Simon leads us in two beautiful classic Easter songs that I know will take us back through our lives and unite us with this Christian movement that has been going on for centuries.
Mm-hmm. First, though, Pam and I think we should light our candles and give incredible thanks for the resurrected Christ. Come, let us light up our hearts. Come, let us light up our homes. Breathe in and breathe out, making circles of light. Come, let us light up our hearts. You guys ready to rock out? Here we go. Christ the Lord is risen today. Hallelujah. All on earth and angels say, hallelujah. Raise your joys and triumphs high. Hallelujah. Sing ye heaven and earth's reply. Hallelujah. No more thought of dark and gloom. Hallelujah. No more thought of death and tomb. Hallelujah. To the heavens and to the lights. Hallelujah. Let our souls ascend the heights. Hallelujah. By thy dazzling radiant rays, hallelujah. Shine, illuminate our days, hallelujah. Constant be the truth well done, hallelujah. Now arise, us and shine on, hallelujah. So I'm going to try and be fancy for this next one. I decided I didn't want to sing on my own for Easter. So this might take me a little second, but I should be able to do this for the next song. I come to the garden alone, while the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear falling on my ear the Son of God discloses, and he walks with me and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there none other has ever known. He speaks and the sound of his voice is so sweet, the birds hush their singing, and the melody that he gave to me within my heart is ringing. And he walks with me and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there none other has ever known. I come to the garden alone, while the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear falling on my ear, the Son of God discloses. And he walks with me and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there none other has ever known.
And now David is going to do our daily word and invite prayer requests and just give us his inspiration for the day.
Well, again, happy Easter, everybody. So the cross is the symbol of Easter, and it's a symbol of that overcoming, that Jesus was able to move through all of life's circumstances as in human form and overcome that through the birth of his Christ nature, overcoming even death and becoming fully live spirit within and throughout. So this last week, or on Saturday, Pam walked a number of us through this 9-hour novena, in which time we were taking every hour and a certain time and doing our prayer work and keeping it very focused on one or two things. So last night, as I was thinking about today, I was visualizing the cross, and it came to me that it's a perfect symbol. And here's why. So if I was going to make myself into a cross, if you can see me arms being out, clearly I'm grounded on the earth, from the earth, part of the earth, where I came from, where I'll go back to as far as my physical form, the carbon molecules. If I look out at my end of my fingers, as far as I can see on either direction, that is where my senses go to. If you look all the way around, there's a finite vision that comes off of that. I can only see, depending on where I'm standing, like if I'm top of a mountain, I may be able to see 30 miles. I'm standing on the deck of a boat, I can see 12 miles, and who knows, you can see from your home. However, the top of the cross is where my upper vision comes from. And I was thinking about that last night as I looked up into the sky and to all those stars. And what did I see but infinity? The presence of the unknown is so vast, so big, so miraculous that I can't even begin to comprehend it. I can feel it. I can express it in some words, perhaps, but I certainly can never understand all of it. And that's where part of the cross is that we're called to on Easter Sunday. That is called to our higher power, to allow that Christ nature within us, which is part of who we are and what we are, to just bubble forth and overcome any circumstance that may be in our lives. Jesus taught over and over and over again all of these different ways and toolboxes of spiritual tools that we can use to do that. And so it's an invitation then today for us to remember that we are part of that cross and that our vision is the top. So with that, we'll do the daily word. And while I'm finding my glasses, I just dropped, I would like to remind everybody of the prayer button on the top of the home page at unitypt.org. And your prayer requests will be held for a week by your dutiful prayer chaplains, and then we send them on to Silent Unity. And it is our sacred honor to do that. And I know that a lot of people don't think about that prayer button unless they're kind of in a time of crisis, but feel free to do it anytime for any reason, because it's there for you. It's there for us to be able to hold you in the highest and make sure that that then is sent on for continuous prayers. So, Easter Sunday, I recognize the risen Christ in family, friends, and my spiritual community. Early in the evening on the day of resurrection, Jesus, unrecognized, joins two of his followers as they journey from Jerusalem to the nearby village. Accepting an invitation to stay and share a meal, Jesus takes the bread, blesses it, and breaks it, then gives it to his hosts. In that moment, their eyes were opened. They recognized Jesus, and alive in their hearts, he vanished from their sight. Later, the two explained to others how the risen Christ became a living presence to them in the fellowship of breaking bread. Easter celebrates the risen Christ, an immortal presence freed from all limitations, awaiting discovery in every person and every life event. I recognize the risen Christ in shared experiences with my family, friends, and my spiritual community. From Luke, then their eyes were opened and they recognized him, and he vanished in their sight. I recognized the risen Christ in my family, my friends, my spiritual community, and I recognize the risen Christ in me, in you. And so it is. Amen.
So it is. And so now I want to invite us all to settle in for a moment and expand out this circle and welcome everyone into this sacred space that we are so blessed to share this day. So I invite you to close your eyes and just open your heart, welcoming in all who are joining us near and far, as though we are sitting side by side and embracing in the spirit of community and love. And as we say our mantra for our church, that is our statement of who and what we are, let us send this as a blessing to one another, as a call to the world to embrace this season of Easter, the unfoldings of the life of Jesus and the energy and spiritual blessings of the Christ. We are an authentic, transformative, spiritual community. Centered in God, we co-create a world that works for all. And this month, as we walk the path of wisdom and understanding, we step into that Christ consciousness that is profoundly inclusive and loving. As I say the mantra for this month 3 times, I invite you to join me. It is honor one another. Together, honor one another. Honor one another. Honor one another. As we do this, we truly do create a world that works for all, beginning at that center point of the divine. And let us now settle into a time of deeper prayer and meditation together with all of the kindred souls, the Anam Cara, the soul friends who have gathered together this day. Simon will lead us into this time of prayer and meditation with a beautiful chant. And then we'll do our prayer, and then the chant will return us back, linking our inner outer worlds in the oneness that they truly are.
Can you hear me now? It was so beautiful. I was singing so nicely. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God.
I invite you now to center into prayer. Allow your breathing to slow and to deepen, and become present in this holy moment, right where you are and right as you are. Feel Mother Earth beneath your feet, bringing all the nourishment and sustenance that is yours to be present in our world. Feel Father Sky above your head. Infinite possibilities, light by day and by night, and the breeze of spirit that brings new possibilities. And all around you, feel the beauty of the created world in all of the infinite expressions of the divine. You are an eternal spiritual being having an earthly experience for a divine reason. Settle into this moment upon the journey of your soul and allow the presence of spirit to infill you at every level of being, knowing simply that you are loved and cherished. As a presence sent by the divine to walk in our midst, we give thanks for your presence in this world, and we offer one another all of the loving support and embodies presence that each seeks and needs this day. We hold one another in heart and at a level of soul and spirit that transcends time and space. And so know you truly abide in the presence of the divine amid the brothers and sisters of spirit who share this world with you. Oh, in this day of Easter, we open with joyous hearts to celebrate the process of new life, of rebirth, of potentiality that was hidden within, now emerging and being made manifest in our world. We need but step out into nature, into the gardens to see the flowers and the trees blossoming and turning green, to see the days lengthening, to see the beauty of the created world as it bursts forth with new life. We are part of this divine presence that is nature, and so we too are celebrating at this time of unfoldings the process of spring and of Easter, this process of transformation that always lifts us higher. And so I invite you to settle in and to receive the gift of the words of Paramahansa Yogananda in his true worship of the Christ at Easter, a prayer that comes from the Eastern mystical tradition that helps us embrace the depth and beauty of the message of the great way shower, Jesus. This is my Easter prayer. May all true devotees of God, uplifted by the transparent purity of their lives, begin to radiate the infinite light, equally present in all, even as Jesus did. And remember the long forgotten truth that they are all potential children of God. Behold thine immortal self, resurrected with Christ in the illuminating light of Christ consciousness, present in every soul, every flower, every atom. Christ is risen. He is risen in our minds, our hearts, and our souls. He is walking in the garden of our love and in the garden of our sacred devotion. And so allow yourself to be present in the garden of your soul. And allow Spirit to meet you in this moment, bringing all of the healing, the energy, the compassion, the wisdom, the joy, the grace, the peace that you seek for yourself and to then share with the world. Just take a moment of silence and stillness and let the radiant light of the Christ bless you in the garden of your soul. And so now upon you, upon your life, open to share and express in willingness, you as a channel of the divine. God is made present in, through, and as us. And so as a gift this day on Easter, the prayer of the Chalice, written by Francis Nuttall at the Glastonbury Chalice Well. Divine Presence, I raise my whole being, a vessel emptied of self. Accept, Lord, this my emptiness, and so fill me with yourself, your light, your love, your life, that these your precious gifts may radiate through me and overflow the chalice of my heart into the hearts of all with whom I come in contact this day, revealing unto them the beauty of your joy and wholeness and the serenity of your peace, which nothing can destroy. And so as a chalice, as a vessel overflowing with the presence of the divine, I invite you now to uplift all of the prayers that are yours this day. Uplift them silently or aloud in the sacred space we are blessed to share, knowing that as you pray, they rise into the light of this day and they shine down upon all of those for whom you have prayed, touching them with a gentle touch of unconditional love in right and perfect ways, highest and best for all. In the spirit of faith and grace, we now uplift our prayers. We allow ourselves now to be filled with deep gratitude and on a great wave of prayer and love. We send prayers all around the world, uniting with all of our brothers and sisters of every tradition as we lift our prayers this day for all of humanity, prayers for healing and for comfort, prayers for inspiration and new possibilities, prayers for each to realize the presence of God with them in the midst of these times. Prayers for a renewed sense of oneness that unites all of humanity amid the beauty of our diversity, just like a great garden filled with flowers. The world is more beautiful for all of us. And so we send forth this great wave of love and light, and we return to our outer lives, renewed, restored, and rededicated to this path of living, loving light, as we once again sing, "You are the face of God."
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. One more time. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. Pam, I see you singing along in the background.
Yes.
Now, I asked Clara to come on and sing, and we realized it was going to be really complicated. We spent quite a bit of time with our husband, Steve, trying to make that happen, and it didn't work. So we've pre-recorded it. So let me do what I did last time, change my microphone.
A new day dawns, the light bursts forth, the sparkling dew, sweet smell of earth, the beauty of the day fills us with awe. We're grateful for this lovely morn, our hopes and dreams can be reborn as we sing this holy, holy hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah. 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 We celebrate the Christ today. It lives in us and guides our way, radiating love so sweet and true. With each new day we try to make, each word we say, each step we take, a grateful, loving song of hallelujah. 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 All fear and doubt are washed away as light comes pouring in today. In gratitude we sing out hallelujah. New hope, new faith, new trust is born. Our grieving hearts no longer torn. We accept this love with joyous hallelujahs. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Oh, beautiful. I love that song. Clara, thank you. And the new lyrics were exquisite as well. Oh, so here we are on Easter Sunday. Who would have thought Easter would look like this year? It's unlike any Easter we've had before. And yet the very essence of Easter is no different than it's ever been. It is a celebration of the processes of life that bring new hope, new life, new possibility to all of us. We go through this process many times in our lives. And this year, Easter week has been profoundly important because it has been our path as well. Just as Jesus comes into the city, we've entered into this process that we are calling a pandemic that has brought us into the very heart of the crossroads of the world and of our lives. And it's a path in which there are periods we walk it with people celebrating who we are and with people who are criticizing and judging who we are. It's a week that's celebrated in an upper room of higher consciousness with inner circle friends. It's times alone in prayer in the garden. It's facing challenges. It is being willing to release your expectations so you can open to the gifts that are being given and presented that you never even thought might be present in your life. It's being willing to release life as you've known it and to go through that process of shift so that you can come out the other side with gifts and insights and transformations that have occurred as a gift in the middle of this process. We're always promised that the presence of God is truly in all things, and all things work together for good, who love God and are called according to his purpose. All things aren't good, but they work together for good. And it's our spiritual pilgrimage is to find that presence of the divine wherever it is. That was the message of Jesus from the very beginning, is recognize that you are a divine spark. You've forgotten. Remember, I'm here to remind you. I'm here to be a living example of how to connect with the divine and express the unique soul spark of the divine that you are. It's about recognizing each of our divine humanity. We're both. We're human beings experiencing this outer world, and it's so easy to have the outer appearance of things overwhelm us. But when we realize, as Jesus reminds us, that we are truly also divine spiritual beings, children of the gods, brothers and sisters of the great Father, Mother, God, that presence of the divine. He begins the most famous prayer of his ministry, not with my Father, but with our Father. And his message is not about being saved from sin. His message is about being redeemed by love. His greatest commandment was that we love, that we do it with every level of being, that we love ourselves, one another, and God. The gospel is a gospel of practicing the presence of love. Jesus' message was to allow us to be redeemed into the wholeness and the connectedness with God that unites us with God and with one another. It's about being fully human, deeply incarnated, which is why he went through all of the same kind of experiences of life that we did. And it was a reminder that nothing can separate us from God, which is what grace really is, an ongoing awareness of this presence. White Eagle says, the cosmic Christ manifests in the world as the unconquerable and unquenchable spirit of the human being. The Christ expresses through the spirit that we each hold. And we are definitely going through an initiatory Easter process in our lives and in our world individually and collectively right now. Greg Braden wrote many years in one of his books something that I absolutely believe, which he said in the ancient times, we would go into temples and to holy places to do our initiatory soul work, our growth processes. And they were done apart from the world in these temples and mosques and mystery schools. That's where you would go to go through these initiatory experiences. Now, our initiatory experiences are taking place not away and out of life, but in the very midst of life. Our relationships, our life experiences, are initiatory portals in which we are truly recognizing that we are both human and sacred at the same time. It's not something separate from daily life. It is interwoven into it. And so the initiatory process we're going through right now, our world, being in our homes, seeing one another as physically distant but spiritually still connected, is all part of this process of growing in a blessing of our diversity and our oneness all at the same time. One of the things that I've realized is that this process has shifted so much how we're looking at life and what we're frequently doing with our time. And I think one of the great initiatory lessons we're in the midst of right now is we've spent so much time being human doings that we've forgotten how much of us is being a human being. We normally lead, we say, what are you? I'm a human being. But then the next thing we say is, what do you do? What kind of work do you do? And so this has been a shift for us, to shift back into that sense of, I'm a human being. And from that inner center, I can then express out into the world the gifts that I have to share, to give and to receive. And there's a wonderful book called Gift from the Sea by Anne Morrow Lindbergh that my mother gifted me with when I went off to college. And she talks in this book about going to the beach and how the different shells she collects represents different parts of her life. But one of the things that I love is, I was remembering this week, she talks about arriving at the beach. and she's got her clothes for the beach, and then she's got her suitcase, she's got food, and then she's got a basket of all the things she's going to do while she's at the beach with all of this time to do things. And so she sets it by the door, and each day she goes in and out to the beach. And at the last day, as she's packing up to leave, she notices the basket and realizes she didn't write any of the letters, sort any of the papers, work on any of the projects. She had settled into beach time and been present in the moment. I cannot tell you how many people I have talked with who've said, I always thought if I had a month at home, I would do this and this and this and this, and I'd get all these projects done. And almost everyone has said, I've done very little of that. They're just now starting to begin to do some things in this time apart. And it's because we all needed this space to simply be. Because this has been a huge shift for us in terms of how we connect with the world, how we see one another, how we see ourselves. And I think part of this process, this initiatory process of moving into a deeper awareness of the fact that we're human beings, is that we're having to experience this process of change that does include some grief about letting go of what was. And so people have shared, they've had denial about this, anger, bargaining. If I could just go have a cup of coffee with a friend at a coffee shop, I promise I'll go back home. Leading, depression, dealing with being in a different rhythm than you're used to. But also with this comes acceptance, being willing to be present in this moment in your life with whatever it holds. And then there's now a sixth stage that's been added beyond the Kubler-Ross work, which is meaning. What meaning does this have, this process we're going through? Don Curtis in The Way of the Christ says, we are all disciples whether we know it or not. The spiritual path eternally beckons to us. Those who follow the upward path and make a conscious decision to follow the Christ light do what the Master called the way, the truth, and the life. The way, the truth, and the life. And the greatest commandment is that we love. And as we move into this path, we remember that love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. And now faith, hope, and love abide, these three, and the greatest of these is love. And so faith is the way, hope is the truth, love is the life. These weave together in this moment of transformation. Stephanie Austin reminded us we're at an amazing moment, momentous time of transformation and shift from duality and separation into a greater sense of our inherent divinity and interconnectedness. Corona actually means crown. We've got new blessings coming in, new perceptions, new understandings coming in. And crowning is when you are giving birth to a child, the first appearance of the head, getting ready to come down the birth canal is called crowning. So we are in the midst of an Easter rebirth, cosmically, karmically, at every level of being for all of us. And there are 3 steps to this process of transformation and growth. And it's expressed through the story of Jesus and the Easter message. The 3 steps are seeking, surrendering, and emerging. Richard Bach, one of my favorite writers, says what the caterpillar calls the end of the world, the master calls a butterfly. And so the Caterpillar represents seeking and the way of faith. The chrysalis to surrender and the truth is the emergence into the of love. And so we begin with the caterpillar that's the outer, everyday, manifest world that you've been used to. I've always loved caterpillars because they've got so many little feet. They're extremely grounded. And so the caterpillar is going through life as it always has. And then at some point, it notices a tree and begins to look up, and then starts to move up that tree, releasing the known ground, but taking that ability to hold on and to try a different space. You don't lose your footing. It's just finding your balance in a different part of the path. And so it goes upward, overcoming fear. And what's interesting is the butterfly is already inside it, even though it doesn't know it yet. And so it doesn't know the butterfly life is coming. It just knows it's going where it is called to go on that next new adventure. Jesus comes into Jerusalem. He goes up into the upper room, that higher level of consciousness, up the tree to meet with the disciples, using communion, daily elements of bread and wine, and the foot washing as symbols of how to lovingly be present in the midst of seeking and opening to new possibilities. It's about looking upwards, having faith, and seeking. There's an anonymous quote that if nothing ever changed, there would be no butterflies. And so this brings us to the chrysalis, the next change, which is surrendering and the truth of hope. Always hope. Hope is one of those three great abiding presences of God. This is where Jesus goes into the garden and said, if this can be passed, let it pass. And then he says, not my will, but thine. Surrendering to hope and to the truth of the presence of God. The Via Dolorosa, the whole path to the cross, through crucifixion, death, and into the garden tomb, laying then in surrender away from the outer world for 3 days in the tomb. 3 days. That's a wonderful spiritual practice for us to each use. Anytime you're going through a change, needing to make a big decision, gift yourself with 3 days to go into sacred space. The first day to just settle in and rest. The next day to begin to open to possibilities. And then the third day, begin to think, how could I actually step into those possibilities? They say it's wise to wait 3 days before you do anything at a major crossroads, also to see what God is going to do before you react. So 3 is a sacred number of completion, the Holy Trinity. So this is our willingness to move into the mystery, to allow the process and to surrender, to have hope, even though in the chrysalis that the caterpillar creates, within that space, it completely dissolves what it was as the caterpillar and then reforms in the shape of the butterfly out of the same essential material. We're the same basic person, but when we go in spiritual process and we allow ourselves to surrender, that which we are can be reconfigured, re-inspired to be the next expression of who we are meant to be. And at the completion of the 3 days, the stone is rolled away. It doesn't say Jesus pushed it away. The stone is rolled away. And a butterfly coming out of the chrysalis, if you try and cut the chrysalis open to help the butterfly get out, the butterfly will not be able to fly and will die. Coming out of that tomb experience is an individual soul moment where we stretch our wings and we let that shift that we've gone through. When the butterfly first comes out, it's still damp. It needs to dry in the fresh wind of spirit. And so the next step for us will be to step into the garden. Maya Angelou says, we delight in the beauty of the butterfly, but rarely admit the changes it has gone through to achieve that beauty. We are in the midst of changes, but it will bring us into a new beauty of spiritual truth and expression. And so coming out into the garden tomb, for the butterfly, it's coming out of the chrysalis and drying. And then once it's ready, flying out into the world and landing on a branch, a flower, something nearby there in nature. The butterfly image has been around in Egyptian hieroglyphs that are 3,500 years old. The Greek word for butterfly meant soul. The butterfly is a powerful symbol of transformation for all of us. It's an ancient archetypal image. And so the butterfly is that coming out of this process. It is spring. It is Easter morning. And Jesus comes out of the tomb. And instead of going out into the marketplace, going into the circle of all the disciples, he steps out into the tomb garden, into the beauty of nature, and is met there by Mary Magdalene, his beloved. This is one of the few passages that's in all four Gospels that makes it extremely important. He is met in the garden by Mary Magdalene. And at first she doesn't recognize him. She thinks he's the gardener. I see her weeping so much she can't hardly even see. And then he speaks her name and she recognizes his voice. And she goes, Rabboni, and she reaches for him and he says, no, don't touch me. I'm not yet ascended, but be present with me. That is that process of the butterfly coming out. And for us, when we've gone through transformations, the best thing we can gift ourselves with is to be gentle and to gift ourselves with garden time, with just that inner circle, one or two or a small circle of kindred souls who can welcome us in our new form, who may not recognize us because we've changed a bit, but who hear our voice and know, oh, that's you. I love you. And will give us the space to settle into who we are, loving us as we do this. It is respecting our soul growth, doing it with a close inner circle first, and then after it is well established, then stepping out of the garden more into the outer world. This is an important lesson for us to all have as we prepare at whatever point in the future comes where we shift from being in our chrysalis into the garden and then back out into our outer lives. The final quote I'd like to share with you is, how does one become a butterfly? You must want to fly so much that you're willing to give up being a caterpillar. And so this process is the one that we are right in the midst of right now. And I call you to use this Easter week, this Easter message as an inspiration for the days and weeks and months that lie ahead of us as we go through this initiatory corona crowning of this new life we will each have and that we will share together, calling forth the presence of the divine and Christ consciousness in one and all to bring peace and love to our world in ways we've never seen before, that will miraculously come from this process. It is not the end of the world. It is a new beginning. It is spring. It is Easter. I invite Simon now, as we close this part of the service, to share with you a piece that he included this morning in our Easter fire service. And it was so beautiful. I wanted him to share it. And he is my co-minister, not just music minister, but someone that ministers for me, with me in heart and spirit. And so I wanted his voice to be part of this message as well. I give you our own beloved Reverend Simon.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay. These are the words of John O'Donoghue. He said this in a cathedral, an abbey in Ireland, one morning on Easter sunrise. On this Easter morning, let us look again at the lives we have been so generously given. And let us let fall away the useless baggage that we carry, old pains, old habits, old ways of seeing and feeling, and let us have the courage to begin again. Life is very short, and we are no sooner here than it is time to depart. And we should use the fullness of the time that we still have. We don't realize all the good that we can do. A kind, encouraging word or a helping hand can bring many a person through dark valleys in their lives. We weren't put here to make money, to acquire status or reputation. We were sent here to search for the light of Easter in our hearts. And when we find it, we're meant to give it away generously. The dawn that is rising this Easter morning is a gift to our hearts, and we are meant to celebrate it and to carry it away from this holy ancient place, to take the gifts of healing and light, the courage of a new beginning. Amen.
Close with a beautiful prayer, also by John O'Donoghue, for equilibrium. This is our prayer for this month here at Unity in Port Townsend. John O'Donoghue. Like the joy of the sea coming home to the shore, may the relief of laughter rinse through your soul. As the wind calls and loves things to dance, may your gravity be lightened by grace. Like the dignity of moonlight restoring the earth, may your thoughts incline with reverence and respect. As water takes whatever shape it is in, so may you be free about who you become. As silence smiles on the other side of what is said, may your sense of irony bring perspective. As time remains free of all that it frames, may your mind stay clear of all that it names. May your prayer of listening deepen enough to hear in the depths the laughter of God. Blessings this Easter and always, and let us now unite our voices in singing the spiritual truth of this transformative time that we are blessed to share, God beyond all names.
God beyond all dreams. You have stirred in us a memory. You have placed your powerful spirit in the heart of humankind. All around us we have known you. All creation lives to hold you. In our living and our dying, we are bringing you to birth. God beyond all names, you have made us in your image. We are like you, we reflect you. We are woman, we are man. All around us we have known you. All creation lives to hold you. In our living and our dying, we are bringing you to birth. God beyond all words, all creation tells your story. You have shaken with our laughter, you have trembled with our tears. All around us we have known you. All creation lives to hold you. In our living and our dying, we are bringing you to birth. God of tender care, you have cradled us in goodness. You have mothered us in wholeness, and you have loved us into birth. All around us we have known you. All creation lives to hold you. In our living and our dying, we are bringing you to birth.
So this is the last day of our Lenten season. And Unity finishes it up this way. I'd like to read this to you. It's called The One We All Might Be. And while I'm reading this, you can go to their little donation button and make your love offering. We will bless it when I conclude. So take advantage of the time, and I'll read these words. There was one who showed us what we all might be. What height of fulfillment, what depth of compassion, what breadth of understanding might be ours if we were all what we might be. One to love with a love that excludes none, but gives itself to all. To have a sense of right values, placing spiritual things first, yet using spiritual powers to transform the physical world. To be a master of self and superior to circumstances. To be humble of spirit, yet conscious of eternal worth. To be at peace, yet to be at the center of energy. To be God-centered, a focus through which his power flows freely into joyous achievement. To be unlimited in vision and to attain what we envision. To experience the fullness of compassion, yet to live in fullness of joy. To be able to help all who turn to us, to bless the lives that we touch, to turn sorrow into joy, hate into love, sickness into health, lack into fulfillment, and death into life. To be the one with the essential harmony at the center of all things. This is what we might be. This is what we're called to be. So I invite you to take out your love offering. You hold it in your hand. We will bless it as we do each week, or bless your little button or whatever you're using. Together, divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I give. And I am grateful.
On that note, let's sing Grateful. All that I am, all that I see, all that I've been and all that I'll ever be is a blessing. It's so amazing, and I'm grateful for it all. All that I am, all that I see, all that I've been and all that I'll ever be is a blessing. It's so amazing, and I'm grateful for it all. na 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 na. Grateful for it all. Na 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 na. Grateful for it all. And I lift up my hands now, and I open my heart, and my gratitude goes out to everyone near and far. Please write what you're grateful for in the chat box. All that I am, all that I see, all that I've been, and all that I'll ever be is a blessing. It's so amazing, and I'm grateful for it all. All that I am, all that I see, all that I've been, and all that I'll ever be is a blessing. It's so amazing, and I'm grateful for it all, for it all. Pam, did I read that you're grateful for me? Is that what you said?
And before we do the peace song and the prayer of protection, it's Easter, and I can't do Easter without doing my favorite ancient Celtic benediction. So for all of you, may you go forth under the strength of heaven, under the light of sun, under the radiance of moon. May you go forth with the splendor of fire, with the speed of lightning and the swiftness of wind. May you go forth supported by depth of sea, stability of rock, stability and firmness of earth. May you be surrounded and encircled, above, below, and about, with the love and the grace of the Christ. And so it is.
Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me. Yes, there is peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, united all are we. Yes, we walk with each other in perfect harmony. Yes, peace begins with me. Yes, this is the moment now. With every breath I take, yes, this is my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me.
There we go.
Yes, David does that. I'm going to
All
put
right.
my hands
We
up
know.
like I'm holding hands with all of you.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Happy Easter, everyone.
Happy Easter.
So, with great joy, I'm going to close this time of togetherness and prayer and celebration. Thank you, God. You ready, Pam?
Yes.
Oh, you've got one too, David. Oh. And as the smoke takes our prayers up to heaven, we just give so much thanks for this light that actually will never ever go out. Amen.
Amen.
Amen.